according to the claim that the Dodgers will make it into World Series for the third time in a row. There are three supporting claims that the speaker had. The first supporting claim was if the Dodgers can keep up their RPG, which is run per game, in their position of being NL West champion, then they will continue their streak of going to the World Series. But however, what if they cannot keep up their RPG? That will be the big problem for them. And also the speaker stated that their RPG in 2017 was 4.81 and it rose up to 4.82 in 2018. And also the speaker stated the winner of the World Series, they have a jump in there, such as Red Sox. And however, the RPG of Dodgers seems not a big jump because they just increased like 0.1 something. And according to the website called Team Ranking, which had all of numbers of baseball players result, Washington Nationals had a jump of RPG too. In 2016, they had 4.71, and in 2017, they had 5.2. And this number is even much higher than Dodgers had. However, they have never played in World Series. So from those reasons, it is difficult to say that Dodgers can make it to the World Series because of RPG. And the second supporting claim was Dodgers recent trades and players had a great skills such as offense skills or a lot of home runs. And Dodgers gave up with a key player, Matt Kemp, to just get other players, but they still have more skills. But I think that is a big loss for Dodgers because Matt Kemp has a higher battling average than Russell Martin, who was traded with him. According to the ESPN, Matt Kemp had his batting average .290 last season. On the other hand, Russell Martin has only 0.194. And home run numbers, big difference too. Matt Kemp had 280 home runs in the past 10 years, and Russell Martin has 185 home runs in the past 10 years. So in conclusion, because they traded players, previous players had a more great statistics, and they might be struggle with making it into World Series. And the last supporting claim was previous World Series appearance. Dodgers have been 2 World Series in a row. 2017, it was pretty close, but last year, 2018, they failed badly. So it is showing they're getting weaker. And also she stated that in the past 10 years, generally, those who have won the World Series were not in the following year. The speaker talked about last year winner Red Sox because usually they do not come back to the following year, so Dodgers don't really have them to worry about anymore. However, according to the MLB.com, Red Sox is trying to become the first team to repeat since the 1998 to 2000 Yankees and cement their status as a premier franchise in this current era of baseball. Also, they're essentially bringing the exact same team back in 2019. So in conclusion, from those statistics and evidences, I do not believe that Dodgers can make it into World Series in the 3 times in a row. Thank you.
right, I thought that the main proposition was clearly labeled, and then you reminded us of what the secondary points were, so we know exactly where you're headed. When you get to the first argument about runs per game, you remind us of the percentages or the numbers that the advocate mentioned, and then you kind of diminished the importance of that climb. It's a very small climb, and then you made the comparison to the other teams that had bigger jumps, and they didn't even make the World Series. So the suggestion here is that a small climb like that, which seems to not be particularly significant, doesn't necessarily guarantee a return trip to the World Series. I think that was a reasonable argument to make, and the statistical comparison was very helpful in that situation. On the player trade, I think you did a good job comparing the two players that are involved. If those are the main players, we got Russell Martin and Matt Kemp, and the Dodgers have replaced Kemp with Martin, and Kemp had a higher batting average, a substantially higher batting average, apparently almost 100 points higher. I think that's one of those things that you want to talk about. How are you going to keep your RPGs up if you're dropping the batting average of the team and you're losing 100 points on the batting average right there? That's probably the way I would say it. You're making the same argument. You just need to maybe make it a little bit more forcefully. And then the same thing with the home runs. You know, Matt Kemp has a lifetime, or at least for the last 10 years, home runs that are almost 100 more than Russell Martin. So the notion that they've improved the team by replacing somebody who has a higher batting average, has a higher number of home runs with somebody in a lesser position seems to also contradict that first point as well. And then your analysis on the third point I thought was pretty good. In essence, the advocate is saying it's unlikely in the last 10 years that a team is going to repeat, and so we really don't have to worry about the Red Sox. But you gave us two good reasons why we need to worry about the Red Sox if we're the Dodgers. One is that the Red Sox are trying to cement their claim to this position, so they do have a high motivation, and especially if the last team to do it was the Yankees, I think this would be something that you'd add. That's their hated rival, and if this is an opportunity for them to show them up and in fact meet the same sort of standard that the Yankees met, they certainly want to live at that level. And then the second point is that they have got the same team. They basically have the same players in the same positions and the same quality that they had before. Unless there was a reason to believe that that was going to deteriorate, then that seems like they are pretty strong competitors. By the way, of course, none of this discusses other teams in the league that the Dodgers are in the conference that the Dodgers are in. The Red Sox are in the other league, so their likelihood of doing well is perfectly fine, but how are the Dodgers going to be competing with the other teams in their conference or in their division and in their league? I think that would have been something that would have added a little bit more to your argument. But I thought you did a nice job looking at some basic information, making a reasonable comparison. There's a lot of reading that goes on in your presentation. You don't really look at us when you're making the argument. You want to try and do that a little bit more. I know it's technical kind of information and probably stuff that you're not always familiar with, but you need to kind of look at us and explain things, not just read data at us. And I think that you are doing a pretty good job. You just need to kind of be a little bit more forceful in the presentation. All right, thank you.